Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second DNM User Group webinar. Thank you very much for attending. We appreciate you all being here. We're going to follow the same format that we did in the last time, where we're going to do some introductions to the people at TNS that are involved with the Data Notification Manager and supporting it, as well as supporting of our clients. And then we're going to go into the new features that have been released via a presentation from Rob Howe. He'll walk you actually through the things that we've added. And then Rob will turn that over to Jeff Mesker, who will discuss rather some of the new features that are coming up in the roadmap. And then finally, we will turn it over to Scott Breslin, who will demonstrate to you the Duo product that we have released, where we spoke about previously, but we did not show it to you. So this time we'll actually take you through a demo. So with that, Rob, kindly go to the next slide. So for those of you that are aware, the Data Notification Management tool has been around for 10 plus years now, and it underscores our commitment and collaboration with our clients because many of the new features are from client requests. And we have a benefit of speaking to many clients, and we take all of that feedback and bundle it up and turn it over to Jeff, where he actually creates that and has his team build it for us. And it's been very successful, as you know. Benefit of this tool, of course, as everybody knows, it takes all of the data notifications from the variety of market data providers that are out there, brings it into a single pane of glass, and it is the industry standard and de facto standard for a vendor agnostic tool that introduces automation into a very manual task. So Rob, if you can kindly go to the next slide. So the folks that you're going to meet today, and you of course will know, is Rob Howe. He's the Director of Market Data Solutions here at TNS, and Rob is actually the original creator of the Data Notification Manager. And as all of you are aware of, anytime you have any questions or new features and things like that, you typically will discuss that with Rob, and Rob will bring it to the team, and then we end up making that happen. Scott Breslin, many of you will know, he's certainly a very well-respected industry veteran. He's been around for about 40 years, and Scott is responsible for the Heritage West Highland accounts, and he works with everybody 24 hours a day, basically. We also have Jeff Mesker, who is the VP of Product here at TNS, and on top of his other responsibilities, which is in the direct exchange world here at TNS, Jeff runs the development team here and is responsible for making all of this magic happen and continuing this product to grow. So Rob, kindly for the next slide. Okay, so what we did last time, we brought some statistics to the foreground for you so you can see the actual impact of the Data Notification Manager tool and what it would mean if you actually had to do this on your own, manually, without the automation. So for the last 4 years and for the current 2025 calendar year, you can see the totals are very consistent. You do typically 2,000 to 3,000 data notifications on LSEG. Bloomberg will have anywhere from 400 to 600 DNs that typically come out over the year, and everybody is in line to continue to meet those targets that they already have every year. It is leveling out, so we used to see some surges. We're not seeing necessarily that surges that we used to, but that could happen. That can change rather at any time. What we would like to point out, though, is that the number of revisions that come out. So if you look at the number of revisions, it almost doubles the amount of work that needs to be done to process a DN. So when we say you have 2,000 to 3,000 DNs a year that come out, you may actually have 4,000 to 6,000 DNs, and you have to do that. So the information we receive back from our clients is that without this tool, they were spending over 100 hours a week trying to process DNs, and with that came a bunch of mistakes and things that missed that actually took them out of the market. This eliminates that and completely protects you from situations like that. So this really underscores it. It's important. You might not realize it because you process these every day, but once you have the tool, you realize the true benefit of it. So With that, I am going to turn this over to Rob Howe, who's going to give you a demonstration of the new features or some of the new features that have been added since the last release of the Data Notification Manager. So Rob, kindly take it away.
Thank you, Steve. So first of all, I would like to apologize to everybody on this call who has dealt with any of the issues with DNM over the last 10 years. Normally, Steve will blame it on me, which it truly is my fault. But let's continue on. So some of the new features that we're looking at today is going to be our filter management with email notifications, our multi-user assignment, our customizable status, our client email review, and also how to access some of the new columns that we've added within DNM. Okay, so let's go right into the demo. And of course, I've got the button at the wrong screen. Okay, so first, when we come into the main screen here, you're going to see all the different market data vendors that we do support currently: Refinitiv, Bloomberg, Active, ICE, Refinitiv, FactSet, and ClearNet. So what we want to walk you into first is our new filter management. Now, this was actually introduced in version 4.6, and we're now on 4.7 with 4.8 coming out any day now. So within filter management, you're going to see a drop down at the top, which then shows you the different market data vendors that we support for filter management. So I'm going to go down to Refinitiv, and the idea behind this is filter management is supposed to make it easier for you to filter out keywords, different DNs that meet a certain criteria. And unfortunately, within the console, it's a little bit difficult to get a specific. And so what's nice about filter management is you can make almost a script for somebody to review all the DNs on a week or a monthly basis. So it makes it easy for you to actually follow a simple process. So I'm going to take you right through how to set up filter management. So what we're going to do for today is I want to set up filter management for content changes. Very simple one. And I'm going to say, this is content changes. So this is just simply a name. You could call it whatever you want, but this is going to be shared across anybody that uses DNM for your specific client. So if you set it up for you, then John and George can use it without an issue. So the email here is just going to be, my email. So for anybody who doesn't know it, there's my email address. And you'll see this auto send. Auto send basically is anytime we actually have a DN that comes in that matches the criteria you pick, it will send you an email about that DN specifically. So I'm going to say true. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to say change type, and I'm going to look for content removal because there's alternatives available and there's no alternatives available. And the most important thing you have to do is you got to click the save button. So that's all we have to do to set it up. Now, before we leave the screen, I'm going to bring it out to you is we did also add this new clone button within here. So if you're setting up multiples of these and you don't feel like typing in the email address, or there's certain things you just want to change, like maybe you want to change which region it is or something like that, it's easy. You just clone it, make your changes, and then click save. So super helpful, super handy. So let me go right back into the main page, and I'm going to show you how to use this filter. Okay, so you're within the main dashboard here, and all you're going to do is you're going to go up to filters here at the top, and then on the right-hand side, you're going to see by filter. Now, by filter, you'll see it says content changes. This is the one I created. Now, you'll notice it has the DN flag right next to it. This indicates it's a Refinitiv filter that's going to be displayed. So if you had another one for Bloomberg or Active and it said content changes, you would see them separately and it would have the different flag in front of it. So I'm going to go click on content changes, and now I can see the DNs out there that match that criteria. Now, the next feature we're going to walk you through is this thing called multi-user assignment. So let's just take a random DN here, Taiwan Index Plus. So we're going to scroll down here, and before, what you could do is you could assign it only to a single user or a single group. Now we can actually specify, hey, I want to assign it to multiple people. So I'm going to say Scott, myself, and Jeff. And I'm just going to say post it to the ticket and click on close. Now you can see here it is listing out Scott, myself, and Jeff, and I can use the assign to filter within here. I can search for Jeff, and I can see it in here. I can also use the filters within the grid. So you'll see up here, we actually can specify multiples in here. Now, one thing that's important to be aware is when you set it here, it doesn't mean that these have to be people. People can actually be people, or it can actually be groups. So you can use a first name, last name, and a distribution list. So maybe you want to just call it first name market data, and then second name is going to be development or something like that. No issue, just send it to a distribution list, hit save, and they're going to get a notification about that DN being assigned to them. So super helpful feature, so good to know. Now, the other thing that we introduced was some additional columns. Now, this is probably most likely rarely ever used, and people don't even remember that it's there. So I'm going to walk you through this. On the right-hand side here, there's this button that says columns. And the columns will show you all the possible fields that are available for the DN that you're looking at. Now, one of the ones we added most recently, which was actually asked many times, is called last action. Because last action, somebody wants to know is, hey, when's the last time I touched this DN? This is helpful when you're reviewing the DN, because you want to know, when was the last time my team did anything on this? Like, do we need to follow up on it? Is it getting too close to, the effective date? So it's super helpful. And what you'll see is when you assign somebody, it'll actually put the date that it was assigned on the last. And if somebody has put any updates in there, it will also update it. So the important way to look at it is either you can look at, sort it by last update or most recent update. So if you want to see if you missed something, it's a very helpful field to have. Now, the next thing I want to walk you through is our client email review. Now, this has had a few updates on it. So just to kind of walk you through, why do we call it client email review? It's because the way it has introduced over the years. So the clients typically want to look at their DNs either depending on how often they meet, because they want to say, hey, we're going to do a biweekly, or we're going to do a monthly, or we're going to do a weekly meeting. So most of our clients do either weekly or biweekly. So I'm going to click on biweekly. And what biweekly is going to show us is, and all of them actually do the same thing, just to be clear, is it's going to show you a categorized set of groupings of all the DNs upcoming, and then also their status, and you can also see which users are impacted as well. Now, this all works the exact same way as the main page, but the important thing to get out of this that we've added now is this thing called copy to clipboard. So you go through this entire exercise looking at all the DNs that you're trying to see what's going on, and you're like, okay, at the end of the meeting, somebody wants to send out meeting notes or whatnot. You click on copy to clipboard, and you can just say copy as text, or you can copy links and styling. So you'll get this nice copy and pastable grid that you can send out as your email to the status to say, hey, these are the DNs that everybody's assigned to. These are the ones we're aware of. And everybody can start working on what they have to get done. So this is a really super helpful feature for people. And now I'm going to pass it off to my good friend here, Jeff Mesger.
Thank you very much, Rob.
So
I'm going to talk a little bit about what's on the roadmap and what our plans are for DNM going forward. So DNM exists to take this fire hose of notifications from all these vendors and make it as easy as possible for you to find the one you want and to manage them and manage the workflow. So we're going to continue going down that path to make each one of those two things easier. So as an example, Rob just presented the filter management functionality. If you're in a world where you want to say, just say, show me all my Deutsche Börse DNs, that's kind of complicated in the tool right now. Rob showed you that you have to go through each vendor, create a different filter, because each vendor has different fields that transmit exchange information. They use different naming conventions and terminology. So it's difficult to just say, show me your Deutsche Börse DNs. So that's an example of something we're going to start working on. We're going to try to normalize exchange names as a starting point, so that we have a new field where we take all these vendors and we manage it and map it so that there's a normalized exchange name that's the same across all vendors. You can set one filter, it works across all vendors, so that you can just say, show me Deutsche Börse, and in one view with one button, see in line all your Deutsche Börse notifications for your LSEG and Bloomberg vendors, as well as the direct exchange notifications through ClearNet. What's the first one we're going to work on, but we're going to keep going down the path and look at every field in the system and see if we can do something similar, just to make it easier to kind of access and organize the information within DNM. We also want to keep looking at making it easier to manage DNs. Try to automate as much as possible. and either doing that through the filter management that Rob just showed, or through, enhancing and exposing our API, letting you do things like automate the assignment of users. Instead of having to click in DHDN and assign users, can you set up an automated rule, again, through the filter management functionality or through API integration to accomplish that? So, in addition to continuing to add, newer features and smaller things, those are the two main focuses we're going to have. Normalizing data, making it easy to access, and making DNs easier to manage in a more automated fashion.
All right, so now this goes to Scott to talk about Duo, correct?
Yep. You can just slide up. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I'm going to talk about our data usage optimizer product. It basically runs any data feed that is on your TREP system. We can look at the TREP, the non-usage, match it to the fees for the exchanges that we get from LSEG, and show you very quickly. So clients that do this today, it takes either hours or days for them to sort through what the impact is for non-usage and then figure out what the cost is. We can very quickly, within a matter of a minute, show you what the exchange exposure is, and help you to identify where you can remove overpayments. We do it for 30, 60, 90 days to give you a good view of the old non-usage, which we call low-hanging fruit, as well as a current vision of what's not used over 30 days. All right, Rob, you want to switch
bring it up? Yep.
Yeah. So this is the front end for Duo, and basically the first panels give you a graphic interface of what's opportunities to save on. So the first blue line is exchanges, then you have your products, and this last one is your specialist data. So it just gives you a view of what you can see as far as exchanges being removed. And scroll down a little bit, Rob. All the way down.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
yep.
Perfect. Okay, now this shows you what the save opportunity is. So up on the top left, this client's going to save $4,800 in non-usage if they implement the changes we have identified. You can export that full document to Excel and then upload it into your change system. Or let's say you're a global bank and you're in London and you're just interested in the London removals. You can click on London. Now this filters by anything with the site is London. So you can see that London has $2,900 worth of saving potential. You can also filter by the user. So if you want to see a user or an application, you can see what non-usage is by an application or a user, as well as you can look at just exchange non-usage. You can look at a product non-usage. So let's say you're coming up to a renewal with your enterprise license for Workspace or Icon, and you want to see what product Icon wasn't used. This will give you a view of who hasn't used their Icon over the last 90 days. You can also exclude applications. So let's say you want to see the full savings, but you want to exclude, let's say, Murex or Calypso. You can go in here and exclude those because you might have a site license for those two applications and you don't want to show it as savings, but it'll allow you to exclude applications. And the nice thing is once you do the filtering, if you do export to Excel, it's just going to export the filter, what's been filtered. Okay. We've got customers that are saving approximately $60,000 a month. The important thing to point out about that is we only have about a third of the fees that we get from LSEG. So what we do provide is the capability for clients to add their own exchange feeds into the tool. So this sample Excel spreadsheets, you can either put it in the GUI itself, or you can download a spreadsheet, enter in the services and the fees, and then upload it into Duo. We'll run the parser. It'll update the cost. And once you run the report again, it'll show you the savings for that new fees that get added. And adding files to Duo, it's very easy. If you click on that usage file tab, you'll create the files. There's four files that we would need from your DAX, and then you create those 4 files. You upload the files from your PC, and then you click upload and click run parser, and within a minute or so, it'll update the spreadsheet, and you can download it and see your current savings opportunities.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott.
Okay, so I think at this point, as we concluded the demonstration part of this, there's some typical questions that we tend to be presented with from clients. One in particular, Rob, was around single sign-on.
Good question, Steve. So single sign-on is something that's readily available and configurable within Data Notification Manager. So basically, we can just work with your SAML provider to set it up. We've worked with Duo. We do a lot with Azure AD, so it's very quick and easy. Yeah, so that's not an issue whatsoever.
Great. So the other top question that typically comes in with the data notification manager is, how do you show price changes, right? Everybody's always concerned that it's first thing is it single sign-on, and second is how can I show price changes, right? Because that really impacts the book.
So absolutely. So if you're within, obviously, I'm just looking at Refinitiv right now. So there's a few different ways to do it. So I'm going to show you one of the most popular ways is we just click on filter, we click on flag, and then we're going to go down to price changes. Now, this is typically the best way to do it. There are other options that we can use now using the filter management, because in the case of filter management, if they don't flag it correctly in there, you can have it do searching for keywords. This is also the same way you do it for things like if display policies are changing. That's kind of an important one to do also. But typically using a flag or using the filter like we showed before. So filter management, and we're going to go to Refinitiv, and we're going to see price changes. And again, you'll see that $, which is the same thing I just basically did, but now you can get your emails notified. You can send it out to your specific distribution list you need.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Rob. All right, folks, I think the only thing that I would just like to mention before we say thank you and goodbye is we also get asked questions about Duo. Is it available? And it actually is available. It's been in production. We do have clients that use it. Scott has mentioned the typical amount of savings that some clients have. And so it is very easy to set up. And I think, Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. As soon as we get the files, within a day or so, you have your results.
That's correct. It's actually a little bit different, Steve. It'll take a day or two to set up the account, but processing files gets done within a minute. It's really fast. So something that takes days or bunch of hours to accomplish gets done in a minute. So it really saves a lot of time for the client, as well as gives them that visibility into the actual savings potential, right? Today, somebody says, oh, I've got these 3 exchanges that aren't being used. I can go in and remove them, but they have no idea what the savings is. This really helps them to see what the impact is to their budget.
And I think, Scott, it's important to understand that how Duo is different than just running reports in DAX. Most people are like, I can just do this all in DAX. And the important thing is Duo takes into account, a couple different things. There's people that don't use their terminal at all, but it also takes into account if you have specific application or login instances that you don't want to count, and you can't really exclude that within the DAX reporting system. So it's a lot easier to see the save and versus just seeing permissions that you just want to turn off. And this is also different than using something like DAX on demand, because DAX on demand, the moment somebody requests it, now you're paying for it. Over the years, we've found that DAX on demand actually doesn't save the client as much money than having a good, well-kept DAX database.
Good point.
So I think, guys, the last question and statement that you guys can confirm is that this not only works with LSIG, it works with any service that is configured into TREP. Is that correct?
As long as we collect usage, that is 100% correct.
Okay, great. All right, everybody, I'd like to say thank you, and just please be aware that although we've showed something that was very, may have come off as a bit LSEG-centric, it is the same for each one of those market data vendors, and we chose to use LSEG because of the amount of data notifications and the options that really highlight the flexibility and the features that are inherent within the data notification manager. So thank you very much. We will send out notifications with regards to the YouTube broadcast of where you can find this, and please watch our emails, and thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.